I forgot when I put this on StreamYard how it used to have the intro. I remember the intro. I need to put the chat up here. Get caught up with you guys. Hey, welcome to the show. It's Saturday, 9 a.m. If you're up, you're either European, a workaholic doing your own weekend workout, or you haven't gone to sleep on the West Coast and you're one of those late night gamer slash partier types. Either way, you're always welcome on the channel. It's good to see you. It's good to see all 22 of you. Let's get started here. There we are. Everything's working. Everything's good. The red pill is a toolbox. It does not contain utensils. All right, so what we got here? So weekend workout, workaholics. Thanks for having me. Sorry I'm late. Oh, Jack. Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a second here. First thing, so I hope you guys enjoyed your meat, you filthy bastards. I didn't want this shit. I really think guys misinterpret it, by the way. Because, like, if you don't know, recently a certain millionaire, playboy, jet-setting, kickboxing champion decided to talk some mad shit about me again for, like, the fourth time. I don't know who this $5 super chat man is. I think he's the guy who did the Sydney Watson thing. But it appears that the newest, most deadly thing ever is no longer feminist and cancel culture. It's some asshole with a $5 super chat and a just asking question. The absolute career. Oh, so yeah, there is no spoon. That's a Matrix reference where the kid was sitting there going, bending the spoon, and he was like, oh, wow. And he goes, all right, yeah, the trick isn't to bend the spoon because that's impossible. He goes, so what's the trick? And he's like, just realize the spoon's not there. Then you're not really bending the spoon. You're just changing how you look at things. Basically how we describe mental models. And I'm kind of $5 super chat, man. I got to be careful with this. Like if Carl was here and I was doing this, we'd probably get one of you guys to create a $5 super chat man website and brand. I like Sterling, but he's too close to Tate, plugging his grifts for my liking. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, we all make our own choices. We all do our own things. I got nothing but patience and time for Sterling, so it's as far into it as I'm going to look. Building mines in a mountain fort. Oh, that's right, Jack. So welcome to the server. If we're lucky, I'll get you online when I'm online. We can have some little chit chat. If you guys don't know, I have a Minecraft server on the gaming channel. So I'm like, it's nice, it's casual. I didn't realize there's like an art to, and I can't believe I'm talking about this here. We're supposed to be talking about sexual strategy and being your best self. And what's all the other catchphrases you're supposed to do? Out alpha the state and 1762 notifications. I can't wait till this thing gets big enough that I can hire like a producer, get myself a Jamie that can do all this stuff for me instead of me doing it while we're talking. Oh yeah, so there's a bunch of shit here. Actually, I had to ask you this a little bit later because I'm confused about a lot of stuff. I can't even keep up with like any drama that I'm in, let alone other people's drama. So you guys will have to give me the crib notes as we're going. Anyways, so yeah, second channel, and it turns out there's like an art to this. So I didn't know this. Everybody thinks streaming is just you play video games online, fight other people. But your job isn't to play video games. Your job is to entertain. So in doing that, if you have a game that's requires too much focus, you're focused on the game and you're not focused on the audience, which sucks unless you got a big set of guns on you because then nobody's got anything else to look at or talk to. Ultimately not good. Then you can always, so it's always a test to find the most interesting and engaging visuals on a game, but have it require only enough brain power that you can still have a conversation with like an audience, like this, basically. So it's kind of cool. All right, so I saw something here below. I got to ask. Brittany Renner called Fresh and Fit weak soy bitches on DJ Academics. Hilarious. All right. So hook me up with this, because apparently on Rule Zero, Rolo unfortunately had some personal stuff couldn't come up. He was going to be hosting, so he passed it off to me. I tried to see if somebody else wanted it, but nobody did. So it's going to be here, and we're going to be talking about why holding women accountable like pisses people off so much. So it'll be kind of fun. No, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to pretend to fight and then cancel a fight with anybody, dude. All right. I'm assuming, like, I recognize a lot of names here, so I know you've watched the Kayfabe episode. I know you have. If you guys haven't watched the Kayfabe episode, I'm gonna hook you up with what the hell am I talking about? Why do I keep mentioning Kayfabe? Why do people keep pointing it out every time some drama starts out in the sphere? And what is it? So kayfabe, I don't know where the term originally came from, but the way I first learned about it was with the WWF. And yes, I know it's WWE, but to me it's always going to be WWF. I don't care. I don't care about the pandas. The pandas think they got it, but they don't got it. So wrestling is, it's not fake. It's more like scripted. It's like closer to reality TV. You know how reality TV isn't real? Same thing as wrestling. It's not real. I mean, the injuries are real. Guys really get hurt. But the beefs are all scripted. And generally speaking, you kind of have to do a show and you know who's going to win at the end because they have it all set up in story arcs. But it's presented as if it's real. And that's kayfabe in a nutshell. Theater presented as if everything is real. So for any kid who's raised in the 80s and the 90s, even the Attitude Era of 2000s, they kind of understand this because they watch it. And, you know, when you see Papa Shanga do some voodoo curse on The Undertaker, like, you know, human beings don't have voodoo curses and they don't have an urn with the power of the thousands of wrestlers in there. Everybody knows this. But you kind of like, yeah, whatever, I'll just let it go and do my thing and watch it. So then these guys grow up and then they realize marketing, branding, all this is essentially kayfabe. You have to play a character. Now, a couple problems come in, though, is that this is a fairly sophisticated model, mental model, a way you have to separate your own personal identity from your branding identity. Hulk Hogan is named Terry Boella, I think it is. But on the thing, he's Hulk Hogan. He's Americana. He's Eat Your Wheaties. And then you got exceptions to that, like Bret Hart and the Hart family. They're kind of like really blur the line between identity and that. But apply this to the modern branding you know of right now. And the more I see it in the flesh now that I'm like mid micro celebrity tier, whatever you want to call it, I don't really care. I ain't shit and I'm fine with that. The more you see that people are really, really not good at it. Like, they buy into their own marks. You realize a lot of people, and it's usually once you get successful, they start like believing it. Oh, I am this guy. This is my identity. This is awesome because that's a success one, right? So the more you latch onto it, the better you do. The problem is with anything, success is fleeting. Nobody is great forever. If you don't believe me, where's Epic Mealtime now? You remember those guys? Remember their brand? There was just like a bunch of frat boys and they were putting bacon and whiskey on everything and they were fun. And Beach's Muscles brand identity was I got muscles and I wear glasses and I'm Frenchist-y. Yeah. But yeah, Pigeon gets it. He's Hulk Hogan everywhere now. Indistinguishable. Ultimate Warrior was the same way. Actually changed his name to fucking Warrior. Like, Jesus. So, I mean, whatever. There's actually sites, by the way, now. You can find the old like the best wrestling promo transcripts. Like, they got the CM Punk one, which I'm so glad Carl introduced me to because I think it was fucking awesome. Anyways. Merch pitch. So the good thing is, like, what do I portray as my brand identity? And I really think it's like it's the everyman, the straight man. It's nothing special. Yeah, like, this is a job. I'm a guy doing his job, just clocking into work every day. It just so happens the job is red pill, like a historian, right? Indiana Jones, I guess would be a way to put it, minus all the cool shit with the whips. He's the guy teaching people about X marks the spot. Yeah, now Harley from Epic Mealtime does gaming live streams, fairly fun to watch. Oh, I bet they are. I bet they're a blast to watch, which is funny. I should actually look into that. I always like seeing Canadian content creators get their thing. So when I see things like, and we'll use this example because you guys won't shut up about it in the chat. I guess Rich Cooper had Tristan or Andrew. I can never tell them apart. I guess Tristan Tate on the show. And then at one point, one of you assholes with the $5 super chat, they were bringing up some drama between, I guess Colty went on a bender and then talked some shit about Tate. And then they set up a boxing match. And Yes, I saw the SFO latest video. And then it just was like, all of a sudden it was going to be the fight of the century. Two millionaire playboy jet-setting K1 fighters are going to duke it out. And then the next day they're like, forget it. And I was like, oh, Jesus, that's... And I was like, so I've explained kayfabe to you. And I'm like, you guys understand the kayfabe now, right? It's just two characters playing the audience for emotional shits and giggles. And I get everybody needs to do a little bit of it. Like, you need to do some. But the difference between a good marketer and a great marketer, in my opinion, is the guys who use that to drive people to something better. Like, you can't just be all sizzle. I think Rolo talks, but uses nachos reference, right? You can have like the most photogenic nachos ever, but if there's nothing to eat in there, then nobody's going to care. Anywho, so one of you assholes sent a $5 super chat, basically where I'm like, oh, this is just theater, like whatever. And I haven't watched it. I'm not going to watch it, but I guess half the show then just got spent fucking ripping into me, which I'm just like, why? Why? Like, I ain't shit, man. Although I guess that was the point of the rant too. One of you guys made a joke. I guess the big joke was that I'm not 6 foot, and that's why I'm a nobody. And I was like, oh, that's weird. That's some like weird incel shit, but whatever. Anywho, so I don't take it too seriously. It's the internet. What are you supposed to do? Get attention, right? So I lean into it. I make some memes. I've talked about this on... I think I talked about it on the gaming stream yesterday about standing up to bullies. And so I'm like, for some theater here, let's play this. Let's play this as the big bad millionaire bully picking on the poor little Canadian kid. He's just like an everyman, right? And I'm like, so that'll be the narrative we frame it on, and we'll play it up like that. And I know I'm doing fourth wall here, but I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's just a job. Because that's something that resonates with people, right? Like, I'm sure everybody here, unless you are the biggest kid ever in your school, in your college and that, you've probably been picked on at some point. And even those big guys, chances are their dads may have picked on them too, right? So everybody kind of remembers being bullied at some point in their life by somebody. Maybe you have a shitty boss. Maybe your wife's a battle axe. Who knows? So I'm like, all right, we'll frame it like this one. So then guys can see like some lessons in this about standing up to bullies. It's a nice wholesome message. There's some nacho in there with the shredded cheese or whatever, right? So then I'm done with it. But I guess, I don't know. And to be fair, you guys, I looked at this. So the engagement I got from West Elm Caleb is way bigger than all this stuff. So I'm like, I'm really done with this now. All I did was post a picture of Corey Worthington saying, we found West Elm Caleb, pointing out that this guy was essentially the Corey Worthington, or what does Rolo call it? Alpha Boda. Laughing my ass off. And then everybody's remembering, oh yeah, I remember that interview. The guy had the party, trashed the place. And now everybody's making a reference to this West Elm guy being a evil guy and whatever. So it's fun. That blew up way better. So I really give a shit more about that right now from a business perspective. From a personal perspective, it's just, I don't know. Don't put up with shit in your life, but don't spurg out like an asshole over it too, right? I mean, how many times have I had a guy in his marriage where he's first learning about setting boundaries, where basically to stand up for yourself, and their first thought is, okay, so the wife's going to throw some disrespect at me, or like a shitty comfort test or something like that, and I'm going to, bitch her out or yell at her, or call her a cunt or whatever. And they're like, yeah, I did it. I crossed my first boundary. I'm like, you didn't. You just emoted like a child. It's not really the same thing. And then a lot of guys don't realize that there's the trick to boundary enforcement isn't anger. It's irreverence. And I think more people would do very well. Like Jack Murphy would still be on Tim Pool right now if that stupid super chat about the cuck article thing, he just added it with irreverence. Don't even address it. Don't take it seriously. Oh, that thing. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that little thing. Whatever. But anyways, I wanted to focus on some more important stuff here because West Isle Caleb, I've actually got to do a red-pilled coffee on it, or West Elm Caleb. And I don't have a narrative for it yet. Like, I have most of the details. So West Elm Caleb, if you haven't seen this, I told Rolo first thing in the morning, I'm like, last night my girl was showing me this stuff. It's like, you got to do a video on this. And I look. It was actually in the collection that I had for my latest little TikTok, out-of-pocket TikToks. And I'm like, yeah, I can make a full video of this, so I won't just waste it on one of those little 3-minute things. I tell Rolo's like, dude, there's this thing here. I'm going to do a video on it, but we should do a collab on it. But unfortunately, he got real busy, so I don't think we're doing it on Sunday. Oh, Paul, you have no idea, by the way. One of the chick talks I'm editing now, it's going to come out at some point here. I'll talk just about that. But so what happened is this dude sent an insane amount of dick pics. I guess he works at West Elm Furniture, which is like middle class bougie furniture, cheap shit, overpriced. Yeah, IKEA for upper middle class wannabes. Oh Jesus, Daniel, fuck me. Uh, oh yeah, so he's working there, and I guess he goes on dates, and the girls are hooked on this thing called love bombing, which I talked about in one of my old red pill coffees. It's where you start telling girls everything you want to see you do. It's almost like a perverted version of Us versus the World, which is like an old pickup routine where you essentially build a little world, put two of you in the center of it, and it's a way of building rapport. Like people watching is a great way of doing it. Talking about what your life's going to be like, talking about how your date goes. Like it's very meta, but it's kind of cool. So what a lot of guys do, typical of men, is they take that and they sprinkle some tism on it. And then he starts saying, what are our babies gonna look like? And you're the greatest. Here's a Spotify playlist, which is like, I thought they stopped doing mixtapes in the fucking 80s, which is absolutely funny. Hey Kurt, ashige naomi kagi. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde shit, basically. Yeah. So he was doing that, and then he was always sending dick pics. And it's funny because he's like 6'5", so he had like a fairly rare quality to him. And I started watching these things, and I realized it's like all these girls, like they're talking about how he's bad and how he's wrong, and how he's like, they're basically trying to infer like some Me Too shit without actually saying it. But I look at it, and I realize they're all smiling ear to ear, all of them, and all the girls. They're not. I mean, they're okay looking. I think Chesty called them Midwestern Sevens, or Midwest Sevens. It's like the seventh hottest girl in, Dayton, Ohio, and then she moves to New York City to find her fortune and fame, and then, plows a lot of dudes. And then what does Gavin McInnes call it? He calls it New York City is where ovaries go to die. Absolutely horrible, horrible stuff. I don't recommend calling it that. So they eventually got together, realized that he had been having sex with all of these girls, which, oh my God, who'd have thought with the dating apps that top tier type guy is getting a majority of the girls. Pareto principle. It's almost like somebody had an article of that 10 years ago, and then we've been talking about that ever since. Do you remember his name? Roger Tomarso or something like that. I don't know. You'd have to remind me. Anywho, so they start doxing the guy, and they're all happy that they had sex with him. And even the one, this is my favorite. I have it on my collection here that I'm gonna make the video on, where the chick is talking about how he came on too strong right away, sent a dick pic, and then she was disgusted by it. And she had to, this date's not working out. It's just way too weird. But then he reached out to me on Snapchat, and then I added him on Snapchat because, give him a chance to explain himself. I'm like, Jesus. Like, how everybody's like, dick pic, never send a dick pic. It's disgusting and that. And she's saying it out loud. She's like, it's disgusting. But then he added me on a new platform, and I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to him. It just goes to show you when you have like an attractive quality, and this is something, I don't know, it's a blessing and a curse. So like, I don't know. I saw the photo of him. He's an all right looking guy. He's just like normal looking guy, but I guess he's really tall. And you can get away with so much stupid shit. Like you can throw dick pics at the chick and she'll still like hear you out. Guys like me or guys like you, just normal looking guys, we're just like, I don't know, why don't we just be charming and not send the dick pic? But I don't really see the point of it anyway. And then I have a great ending for it. There's this guy who's laughing about this. Like all these girls basically finding out that this is what dating is like, where everybody has sex with everybody. And then the more options you have, the less well you treat any individual option. And they just found out it's like, oh, I was the pump and dump girl. Well, that sucks. And he's like, yeah, but dude, it's not that hard. Like, just tell the girls you want to smash. You don't have to send so many dick pics. You don't have to make an individual Spotify playlist for all of them. And I just started laughing. Because there's like a game lesson in there too. Like, because he's tall and he never had to learn games. He's got all these really stupid, like he's no different than the 4chan incels that get mad about Bob's and Vagine. It's just he's tall enough that he doesn't have to worry about it. So the girls in New York end up drier than the prohibition. Ouch, dude. Roberto Tombadillo. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like a little bit of game, he'd still have his LinkedIn profile. That's all you had to learn. I mean, and that's the point, is you don't need much game. A lot of what you think you need to learn in game is just to stop doing unattractive shit. And guys do so much unattractive shit. I just like it when I hit reminder, set reminder button, that I don't get reminded. Why is that? I have no idea. That's why I try to keep the shows at like a consistent time, right? So even if you don't see it. Yeah, like wrestling. Why give away your finish to your main event? Absolutely. So it's fun. And the thing is, I'm trying to carve a story out of it. Like, I know what most people are going to do, because there's going to be a whole bunch of like commentary YouTube channels talking about it. There's probably going to be, if you guys ever watch, there's this show called like Where Are They Now? Where they basically pick guys who had 15 minutes of fame, went viral. Like Island Boy, that little meme there, they had a show on him about a week after everybody forgot about that video. So there's going to be a bunch of people, and all they're going to do is regurgitate everything you said. But I'm like, nah, there's like a story in here. And so I've been looking at it. I'm like, is it, girls getting chewed up and spit out by the sexual marketplace? Woe is them. I'm like, nah, that's not really. I mean, that's easy to take the side of the women in this one. Do I play it that guys unattractive and dick pics and girls have the power to Me Too you if they band together? And I'm like, no, that's going to be the MGTOW side of it. And it's not really painting the right picture. And then I just realized, yeah, it's the kayfabe. It's everybody is lying to themselves and lying to you. I think that's where I'm going with this one, because it's just girls absolutely happy they got played by a top tier dude. It's almost like it's like when guys date a stripper. Like, I don't know how many guys here. Most guys at some point in their life, if you've slept around a bunch, have had at least one stripper experience. And it usually goes the same way. It's that it was the worst girl I've ever dated. She was bad for this, she was bad for that, she was great in bed, she was bad in bed, her work was weird, guys, mafia fights, whatever. She was into coke and I don't do that. Whatever your story is. But afterwards, you're like, dudes, the stripper. Oh yeah, the stripper. I remember the stripper. It's like a great story, but it was a horrible experience. And I have a feeling that this West Elm Caleb guy is the stripper for Midwest Sevens. I'm calling it here. Let me see here. Beef spoils after a week in the open. Same for internet beef. Act accordingly. Yeah, and to be fair, I wouldn't lean into any of this except for I see it flat out, and this is funny. So let's say, like, I throw out a couple, posts on the community channel here saying, oh, let's look at this alpha male bullshit. And then every comment underneath, there's a couple comments underneath that are like, what are you talking about? Tate's amazing. You're an asshole. I'm like, all right, fair enough. A lot of ones are like, oh my God, more drama again. And it's funny how many people just like, this is kind of getting to that topic of lying to yourself. Let's go right here. 23. Oh, more of this drama. I can't even be bothered. Oh, this is ridiculous. Can't we get back to just talking about, saving men and protecting lives? And, oh, why can't we all just get along? And you get all this shit. But I'm like, every time I put out any video with red meat in it, some laughing at women and chick talks, or some internet beef with some stupid pickup artist or Red Hat McGee or whatever, I will watch. And those videos watch time, like usually you can see your watch time over time, and it starts at like 100%. And then usually the first 30 seconds, it'll drop to like 70% if it's good, 50% or lower if it's bad. And then it's like a slow, steady decline at the end if it's good. Otherwise it just drops off. Sometimes it peaks up again, which is fine, especially if you have like chapters in it. And every time I see, like, I can almost draw you a direct line between the, oh, I can't even be bothered with this drama, and then like a flat viewer curve. In other words, everybody sits there and hate watches the whole thing. And then I kind of realized is that we are all just big fucking liars, Yeah, not more drama that I'll fixate on obsessively. I think it's an ego defense mechanism. I can't watch this. Oh my God. It's the same. Here, you guys want to talk about men and women being the same? Here you go. Here's one for you. In the same way that those Midwestern Sevens were talking about West Elm Caleb is like, oh, he's such a dick. I don't like him. He does this. He does that. Can you believe this? It's horrible. Big smiles on their faces. Girls like, I got magazines reaching out to me for this. They're getting clout from it. They're enjoying the kayfabe. They're enjoying the misery. It's the most exciting thing to happen in their boring ass day working for fucking BuzzFeed. This is no different. No different than guys sitting here is like, oh my God, did you see, who's the chick that yelled at Fresh and Fit or called them bitch asses or whatever? What was her name? I should remember this. I actually put her on the title of the stupid Rule Zero video, so you think I'd remember. All right, whatever. Whatever her name is. I'll call her Torsha, because that's the only number I can remember right now. I know it's not her. Yeah, it's the same thing. Oh, I can't stand this. Why do we have to watch this drama? Why can't we get back onto this thing? Meanwhile, they probably got a big smile on their face. It's like, I feel like such a good person because I'm definitely not into this stuff. And I was just like, actions matter more than words. Thank you, Dante. Somebody's trying to impersonate me in the chat. I'll tell you right now, if you don't see me typing and then a message come out, it's not my message. And I get it, there's a human nature part of it, because that's like the weigh-in. Remember UFC matches where they weigh them in their underwear, and then they get a scene where they stare off, and occasionally one of the guys pops off. Like I remember, oh jeez, anybody here got like a good memory for fighting? It might have been Pride, it might have been K1, it might have been UFC, I can't remember, but they were doing the thing where they stand like forehead to forehead and scowl at each other for the cameras, and then one of the guys did like a little kissing motion towards the dude, and then he got full-on homophobic and just knocked him out there. Ended up getting booted from the league. I do wish I could remember. Do you guys remember what this event was? I remember the thing, but I don't remember the players. And that was the guy that took the kayfabe a little too seriously. It's like he's just trying to get under your skin for the match, right? But I get it. So for fights, that works. You know, Tyson yelling, I'm gonna fuck you till you love me. Shit like that. It's just a part of human nature, and I think it would do any man here a lot of good to understand the limitations of your meatbag body. Realize you're very susceptible to drama and kayfabe and all of this shit. And so what you do with that is up to you. If you just want to sit back and enjoy it, maintain a little bit of distance, I would suggest. Have some fun with it. Like if you're sitting here standing for, I don't know, one side or the other, if you're like, I'm team Fresh and Fit, I'm team, what that chick, the Torsha, whatever. Or Team Torsha. It's like, yeah, I'm Team Sydney Watson. No way, I'm Liminal Order. Oh, yeah, Team Alpha Lambo. Oh, Team Canadian guy with freckles. It's like, don't stand. Just watch it and have fun. Or don't watch it and don't comment on it. Like I said, if you really can't be bothered and if you really can't stand the drama, you'd stop watching it. So if you're watching it, just accept. Okay, I'm doing the drama thing. I get it. Yeah, weird kind of flexing going on here with these peeps pretending they're above the red meat. If you truly are, you don't need to broadcast it. Yeah, and this is kind of where a lot of guys make mistakes in their red pill journey as well, right? I'm gonna call it. I'd hate calling it a red pill journey because it sounds so red pill journey mistakes. I hate calling it a red pill journey because it makes it sound like you're Luke Skywalker going to shit, and I don't want to make it sound at all cool. But we used to call it a MAP, a male action plan. But the problem is, there's a much more popular acronym that MAP stands for, and I'm like, I don't want to get the two confused. So we need to come up with like a new acronym for it. I don't want to call it a red pill journey. I don't want to call it a male action plan, but I don't know what else to call it. So until then, we're calling it a journey. Fuck it. And they'll get into the point where, like, if they think something, it works. Quick pause here. Thank you to Sancho Bohemian, $9.99 Super Chan. Congratulations, Ryan. Yo, try chock full of nuts coffee. It's bomb. That's a thing? Dude, I'm totally going to put a complete pause on the podcast just to learn what the fuck that is. Chock full of nuts coffee. This is not an endorsement because I don't know it yet. Oh, shit, it is there. Get out of here. Okay, so get New York roasted. You deserve perfectly roasted coffee for not a ton of money. And people who do pay way too much, well, they simply deserve to be roasted. One pot at a time, one cup at a time will help you get through the day, one day at a time. For you, it's chock full of nuts. Get D's nuts in your mouth. So Midtown Manhattan medium roast. So what is this? Just a coffee bean? Coffee bean with some clever marketing? Began in 1926. I always think, like, wasn't the 1920s, that's when they had, like, the ships coming in, they brought in all the Italians and the Irish or whatever to the States, wasn't it? Just for, like, post-World War I to get into World War II? So is this like a way of saying, like, hey, remember your Italian grandmother coming on Ellis Island? We'll have some of this. Interesting. Ground coffee, single serving pods. All right, so I don't know if it's anything special. It looks like just very well marketed coffee. And it sucks because, like, Ground Shark, I used to use those guys. They were kind of nice. I liked them. Problem was, to get it shipped to Canada, it cost a fortune. So when I did it, it was like special event stuff. Even when the guys would, like, just send me, like, complimentary shit, it gave me, like, a discount 100% code to get it, to put into my videos. It was like, yeah, well, I'm still paying, like, 40 bucks a pound to get it up here. But it was kind of fun. It's weird, by the way. There's some dude in the chat who's, like, spamming the shit out of it, trying to pretend to be everybody. I don't get it. It must be took a break from sleeping with his 1,700 women to just talk some shit in my chat. So back to the topic, back to an actual topic here. Red pill journey mistakes. A lot of guys think and then act, but the thinking and the acting completely disconnected. Like, you'll see, what's the most common one was guys saying, like, their wife does some, whatever she does, some wifey shit or some girlfriend shit or some girl shit or whatever. And he's like, so I sat there and I tried to stay calm and stoic. You can always tell. As soon as somebody tells you what they did, as soon as they describe what they did, it's the complete opposite. So I stayed calm and I stayed stoic. I tried to stay calm. I tried to stay stoic. I thought I stayed calm and I thought I stayed stoic. Then I yelled at her for 10 minutes and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. So, like, show me at what point in this part where you were stoic. And it's funny because I love this at Field Reports. A guy, even when he's trying to lie to himself, he can't lie when he writes it down because you're describing what happened. And so the truth will always come out. It's like, it's the literary version of body language, you know? You can't lie with body language. You wince when you wince. All right. Good. Instead of map, it's PTC. Oh, dear God. Get Death Wish coffee if you're a spaz like myself. To be fair, I'm not too attached to any particular coffee brand. Because, I mean, coffee beans are a commodity. It's all the same coffee beans you're getting from. There may be some difference in regions, but that's it. And I find, for me, the big difference is in how it's prepared and its level of roast. I like the darker roast. It's not as heavy on the caffeine and that burnt flavor. I don't know how to describe it. It's just I have a preference for it. I know a lot of guys like that tart acidity of, like, blonder coffees, but But apparently that's because I don't have a palate. I'm not 6 foot. What can I tell you? Oh, yeah, so they'll say one thing and do one thing. It's like, yeah, my wife was shit testing me, and so I passed the shit test. And then they describe about how they basically took her flirty nigging seriously and then completely ruined the moment. Or, oh, players taking charge. Yeah, fair enough. Path to contentment. Oh, dear God. Roast 3 to 4 is my thing. Map, nap. Jesus. Andrew, I see you in the chat there. You'll have to go back to the beginning of the episode because I already dealt with that. It's nothing. I mean, I'm sure it's nothing. I don't really care. From my side, it's nothing. Yeah, get you some Starbucks then. They burn the shit out of their beans. They do. You know the funny thing? Starbucks burns their beans so bad that if you get like a Starbucks blonde roast, it basically tastes like a medium or medium dark roast. And if you get their dark roast, it's like one stop short of like French coffee, which, by the way, I don't know why it is. French and Italian, I love that. It's just burnt to shit. Anyways, yeah, red pill journey mistakes. That's the ones they make. It always makes me laugh. And I mean, as a takeaway from this, it's hard to explain because there's a lot of guys who are self-reflective guys. And they have like a different style of writing field reports. So they'll do the same thing. They'll say they did one thing and then they do one thing. But then usually they kind of look back on it and they go, okay, I can see where I fucked up there. Like they spot it in their own writing. And that's because they check their ego. I ain't shit and that's okay is the way I describe it. I ain't shit and that's okay. So I'm like, that's cool. And they'll always realize it, but then they'll make more mistakes where it's like, yeah, damn it, I did it again, where I thought I was being stoic and then I yelled at her. And then you'll see, so the first couple times they fuck it up and then they realize they fuck it up afterwards. And then that delay between noticing they're doing it and catching it drops down. It used to be, it's after I read my field report the next day. And then it's, as I'm writing this down, I figured out. And then it's about midway through the time where I'm failing a shit test or failing a comfort test or screwing up being unattractive or sabotaging myself. And they like stop mid-sentence as they're busy like stepping on their own dicks. And it's funny because then they'll come to this as if it's like I'm failing, I'm messing up. And you're like, no, you're not messing up. Like you get it, you're catching yourself. And you're decreasing that lag time between knowing you're screwing up and dealing with it. And that's usually when shut the fuck up, which is like one of the best basic skills you can learn. When in doubt, shut up. You cannot lose you won't win, but you won't lose if you just shut the fuck up. And so they start and they realize, oh, okay. Jesus, Chesty, savage bastard. But they realize this and they're like, okay, so I'm screwing up. And then I know how to fix it. And then they'll keep coming back and like, I don't get it, man. I was halfway through ruining my chance at sexy times with the wife. And then I just stopped and I shut up and I just, went to bed or something like that. How do I keep doing this? And then like, I don't think guys realize that that's the success story. Like before they would have never known they were doing it. Now you know you're doing it and you caught yourself just before you started. You're going to be at the point now. And then next steps is usually the guy will think before he speaks and not just let his emotional impulses take over. And that's great. That's the next step. And then the final step, once a guy truly gets it, is it's just natural response. Like the idea of doing some weird, unattractive beta male shit or whatever you want to call it never even occurs to him. A girl's giving him a shit test, a girl's ragging on him, a girl's crying, and he's just laughing. I think there's a joke meme I put on the gaming channel where I was like, when your girl had an argument with you and then she's in the next room waiting for you to apologize and then she hears this sound and it's the sound of like a Tekken match starting up. And then the next scene is this girl bawling her eyes out looking over like, what the? I think Mish, I don't know if Mish is in the chat, but he put it too where the girl's like, I'm going to stay in here and be mad at him. So he'll realize I'm so mad and that he screwed up and the guy's out there playing games going, this is the greatest day of my life. It's kind of where I want to get. Well, I mean, that's where I want you guys to get. I'm there. Excuse me. Sorry about the ear noise there. I miss Carl. We need more WWE talk. I know, I gotta reach out to him. It's nice to hear from him now and again. He's just busy in his thing. Who wants to get the hammer today, you infidels? That's too funny. I see you guys are all having fun in the chat, too. Yep, Mish busy slaying Arabia. Dude, I love... Mish is one of my, like, favorite... I don't want to say mine, because he's not mine. He's his own man. But, like, one of my favorite... One of the success stories that I find are one of my favorites. I put the Mish here up with the Litz, and I've talked about him before. I want to talk about it again. I would say Chesty, but Chesty's been at this longer than me, so I can't really say it's like he's my favorite. It's kind of like, it's one of the guys I looked at, and I'm like, I can do that. Wait, I do WWE talk. I used to independent wrestling. Oh, okay, yeah. That's weird. I should get into that. A lot of guys talking about the new independent stuff. Yeah, I know. And here, okay, you guys really don't want to shut up about the guy, but if you're learning from it, fill your boots. I'm not here to tell guys just because somebody doesn't like me or his brand doesn't like me. I don't know which it is. I'm not here to tell you like don't ever do a shit. I mean, I wouldn't, but it's not my place to tell you what to do. George Bruno taught me how to make beef carpaccio, but after that lost credibility. Oh, is that the one where it's just beef carpaccio? Is that like the one where you just take lemon juice and that and you basically use the acid in the lemon juice to cook the meat? Interesting take. Tate talking shit about you is not something to be proud of or even want to mention. Yeah, I can't be bothered with the drama. I cannot be bothered. Anyways, whatever. It is. It's there. I'm rooting for the Titans from this point on, the playoffs, and the Bills get destroyed by the Humvees. So what? You're no longer. Oh yeah, by the way, so the official football team for this channel is the Browns, the Cincinnati Browns. I always love that. Where I don't know where the Browns play. I think it's Cleveland, but I'm like, ah. But for some reason, everybody loves them. They sound like the Maple Leafs, like the team that everybody loves but hasn't won since like the '60s. So it's like, yeah, I like watching them lose eventually. Yeah, I know the Browns are in Cleveland. I'm messing with you. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So like beef tartare. Although tartare is one word, which is good. I mean, I don't cook it often. Obviously, the girl being a vegan is just when I would cook it for myself. But it's just a pain in the ass to source the meat for it because you can't just go grab grocery store meat because you don't know how long it's been out. You don't know how long it's going to last, like when the expiry date hits. You've got to get like a very thin tenderloin, slice it super thin. It's just such a pain in the ass to make for something that tastes okay. But hey, whatever. Salmon tartare is a little easier though. I eat more salmon and pork, but maybe you're right. Yeah, do not do pork tartare, by the way. If anybody's watching this channel, pork and chicken tartare, not worth it. Does Ryan know about Lisa Sparks? What, is that a porn star? Oh, wait, that's that guy again. Yeah. If you do, it's WWF, man. I don't care about that stupid lawsuit. I'm not held to its terms. World Wrestling Federation. Hit up Affy Kingdom as well. Oh, I've heard about this guy. Interesting. And John here, I don't know, make sushi out of it. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. Sushi's one of those things, too. It's like you really need to get flash frozen fresh food. I mean, you can play around with it. Try stuff you just buy from the grocery store. It's been sitting out all day. I wouldn't recommend it. Like, if you're going to make sushi at home, I would just say go with the California rolls. You know, the artificial crab, like the cooked pollock, avocados, the vegetable ones, lots of cucumber in that. I'm just like, I'm not playing around with the raw fish because you just don't have the supply chain in place for it. Plus the fact that from what I understand, a lot of the seafood you use there is actually prepared. Like you think it's just raw and they just cut it off the fish and then put it on the plate. But I guess they pickle it a bit and whatever to soften up the all the stringier parts of it so it tastes more delicate in your mouth and that. So hey. Yeah, there's always a chance to get worms in that. So like I said, no. Good for hair and beard growth. You know what's good for beard growth? Not cutting it. Anything else is just like whatever. Actually, I guess to be fair, because like when people talked about this, they talk about God, like your dog and your horse coats too, and everybody, oh, you do this, it'll grow a nice shiny mane. All you need to do is have enough oils in a guy's diet for your body to produce enough oil to give like health to your hair. Because hair is just dead keratin. It's like your nails. And so the only difference between healthy hair and not healthy hair is whether you have enough of an oil coating on it that it doesn't start to fray and do all this shit. Because it's just dead. You can't fix it. You can't encourage it. The follicles, there's nothing you can eat to make your hair follicles go. And for the most part, how well your beard grows or doesn't grow is the amount of follicles in your face and your genetics. So, but yeah, definitely keep up some healthy fats in your diet. Otherwise, your beard's going to be a stringy piece of shit, right? And don't shampoo it too much because that just dries it out, especially when it gets a certain length. Same with hair. Like you don't want to wash it every day. Gentle cleansers. I think what was the issue? Somebody was telling me this is like advice for when I grow my hair is use more conditioner and less shampoo. It's a gentle thing and it's not going to dry you out. The best heavyweight coach who saves lives. Oh, shush you. Shush. Yeah, with American diets, it should be no problem. Well, you got to get the right kind of fats too, right? I guess I should almost give this one a topic. Food. Nutrition. Fuck it. Oh yeah, I guess I should switch to that too. I'm on top chat. I should probably see the live chat. Yeah, it's good for the skin, good for the hair, since hair grows from the skin. Think skincare, not beard care. Is this real George Bruno, by the way? George, is that really you? What kind of pipe do you own? What are you known for? What do you do with your coffee that everybody knows you for? We're running some shit tests here. I want to find if this is really Georgie Porgy. Come on, lapdog, let's hear it. It's really him. The hell are you doing watching this, dude? Last I checked, we weren't friends. Because there was some beef and you weren't happy. I mean, whatever. Welcome to the channel, I guess. Whatever. It's good to see you here. Where we go? Oh yeah, the food and nutrition thing. So a lot of what you hear about food and nutrition just really isn't useful. And I mean, you guys probably already know this stuff, but whatever. We're killing some time. It's a non-episode episode. Fuck it, right? Most of what you hear when people talk about superfoods, it's all marketing. There's no such thing as a superfood. There's food. Things aren't natural. That's bullshit too. Like, go look here. I got an experiment for you. If you guys are talking about how natural fruit is better for you, go look for watermelon in Renaissance or Baroque paintings. That time period is about the 1600s-ish, and you're going to notice that watermelons looked completely different back then to what they look like now. So there's no such thing as natural food. Every food that we have right now has been genetically modified through selective breeding or other methods. Bananas aren't natural. Absolutely not. In fact, they're a monoculture. In fact, most of the grains we eat are a monoculture. Most of everything we eat is a genetically engineered monoculture. And like with GMOs, they're dangerous too. The only difference between a GMO and a non-GMO food is how quickly the evolution happened. So what we used to do is splice things. So if you got, for example, apples, orchard type trees, you can't just take the best apple tree, take seeds from one of the best apples, and then make new apple trees that are going to be that good. It doesn't work that way. Turns out you need to pollinate it. It's like almost like sex. So I mean, if you were able to, you take like the best pollen from a best tree and the best seeds from another tree, but even then you're going to get a variety. So you plant like hundreds of trees from those two pollen seed adaptations, and you're going to get 100 different types of trees. So what you have to do is take the best one and you grab like saplings from it, the newest part of the tree. I don't remember what the thing is called. And you basically splice it into the roots of another tree. So like you're literally injecting DNA or RNA or whatever the plant version of DNA is into other trees, and you're cloning it. And that's the only way you can make like really good quality things, which sucks though, because then they're all susceptible to disease. So there's no such thing as natural food. Well, thank you, Bruno. That's very magnanimous of you, man. Welcome. Anyways, so there's no such thing. So get that shit out of your head right now, short of like eating poison. The issue for a lot of foods is concentration. I think I've talked about this with like diabetes, right? Back then, we're addicted to sugar, so chewing on a sugarcane root for 20 minutes, that was hard to do, a lot of fiber to it. But if you can condense it into a cube of sugar, like 10 pounds of sugarcane, one sugar cube, yeah, you're getting way too much. So for the most part, just moderate temperance. Just eat less. Stop eating too much fat shit. You can say, oh, alcohol's bad for you too. I mean, everything's bad for you. If you're getting constantly drunk every weekend, for sure. But if you're having like a couple drinks on the weekend and that's it, like 2-3 drinks and then that's it for the week, you'll probably be fine. As long as you have like a generally lifestyle. And yeah, and with the fats, same thing. Like most fat is good for you. You actually need saturated fat in your diet. I don't know if you guys know this, but testosterone requires there's free-floating testosterone in your bloodstream, and then there's other testosterone in, I think it's in your gonads, whatever. Yeah, it's literally through your balls. But in order to utilize that, you need something like a transport mechanism. And it turns out saturated fats are how you get testosterone floating around your body. Now, having said that, with the amount of saturated fats out there, you don't need to eat 17 pounds of bacon to do it. 2 pieces of bacon a day would be plenty enough for you. And that's if that's all you eat, or deep fried stuff or whatever. Way less than you think you need. It's kind of like salt. A little bit of salt's good in your diet, but if you're eating a regular diet, you're probably having 10 times the amount of salt you need, and it causes some stress on the system. So yeah, you don't need that, but you do need that. And then trans fats are different because it's, I guess the way you prepare the food is what matters. And from trans fats, it has to do with the way you heat it. And it ends up burning away the parts that are useful and not useful. So it's not so much that it's natural fat and it's not good. It's that the denaturing process, and I'm fucking up the terms and I'm fine with that. That kind of screws it up. And it turns out a good rule of thumb is the closer you get to something being cooked at home, the better off you are. I don't want to say raw, because raw is not the right use either. Turns out being able to apply heat and cook vegetables and cook meat is a way to unlock its nutritional value. That's something that we figured out. That's basically what gave us the amount of calories to make our brains grow and become the dominant species on Earth. Sam Whiskey, thank you for the $10 super chat. If you got a good tan in 1822, it's because you were working on the farm until the dirt merged with your fingernails. Today, everybody is indoors sipping on a glass of mimosa like a zoo animal. I gotta take that personally, sir. But yeah, well, that's social signaling, and we'll get to that. You're absolutely right. It's funny how signals change from time to time. Do you remember when having a lawn? Well, I mean, you don't, because it was during the Victorian era. Having a lawn signaled wealth and affluence, saying, I have so much property for crops that I don't even need to grow food on this shit. That's why the Queen's Garden is considered like a big flex. Nowadays, every suburban asshole has a lawn, and everybody thinks they're poor as shit. So yeah. So I don't know I haven't followed the trans fat thing. So many marketing people talked about it. My initial assumption is just to call it bullshit, but whatever. But yeah, generally speaking, the closer you get to preparing this food at home, the better off you are. So with vegetables, steaming them, cooking them, breaking it down, it turns out you want to salt your vegetables more too, because salt for vegetables, there's like 2 barriers against the cellular wall as opposed to meat where there's 1. So salting your meat tends to draw out moisture a lot quicker than vegetables. Vegetables need to be cooked longer to unlock their health. But yeah, if you're generally eating healthy, all this GMO superfood shit doesn't really matter. And like a variety of food. Like, you'll be just fine. Anywho. So anyways, we're going to deal with the signaling here. Where is that? What do we have for time now? 51. Signaling. What the hell is signaling? Well, it turns out we have 2 paths to like the sexual marketplace. There's genetic stuff, and then there's social stuff. Because it turns out we're genetically hardwired as a social species. It's because that's the only way we survived. We don't have strong bodies like gorillas or apes. We don't have claws or fangs like tigers or lions. We aren't super fast like gazelles. We've only really got 2 things. Well, technically 3 things that make us stand out from the animal kingdom. Opposable thumbs, frontal lobe, and sweat glands. That's it. Those 3 things there were all we needed to conquer the earth. Sweat glands are what make us the highest endurance animal on the planet. Turns out it used to be one of our great hunting techniques. For a lot of those like jittery animals that cheetahs have to learn to run super fast to catch, but then they have to pant for 2 hours to cool down. Yeah, we just learned to sweat, and so we'll chase it, and we'll chase it, and we'll chase it. We can run for 40 miles, and then the thing will pass out from dehydration, then we just walk up, stab it, and walk back to our thing. Awesome. How did that happen? Sweat. What does sweat do? It takes the water, evaporates on your skin, keeps you cool. Holy shit. Then, the next one was like, yeah, the frontal lobe, and that's the being social. It turns out gorillas and apes, they figured out whoever's like the alpha male of whatever pride or tribe or whatever the term for that is, they actually, I don't know if it's they grow that big and then become the primary male of their tribe, or they become the primary male of tribe and then it signals increased testosterone production. You end up with big silverbacks and gorillas and shit like that. I don't know which way it goes. I just know, generally speaking, they run it because they're bigger and stronger than everybody and nobody can stop them. So humans figured out that if you get one, and this is why I always laugh at guys who are like, I want to be the alpha male, biggest guy in the room, toughest guy in the room. I'll tell you right now, you get 3 little fucking nerdy guys, 3 like small little chimps or small little apes or gorillas, and they'll fuck up the biggest silverback out there. Strength in numbers. John Peters, thank you for the US $4.99 super chat. What is the joke about Bruno? He's an odd dude, but it's hilarious every time I hear his name. It's a long story, man. That's a long story. I'm sure somebody in the chat could fill you in on the details. I'll just, I'm gonna try to keep this one focused on like actual shit here and not like we did enough drama at the beginning. Yeah, so humans figured that out. And so it turns out, and I know it was floating around for a little while on Twitter there where they're talking about how beta males made the human civilization, and they're not wrong. Like the subpar guys, and that's because humans figured out how to I don't want to say weaponized sexuality, but it's like you'll get what I'm saying with this. You promise a guy you get sex and it's your kid. And in return, you go work on these fields for 500 years and break your back for like generations to come. And guys were like, sign me the fuck up. And so all these things that got built, the pyramids, the this, the that, it all was because guys could have taken the effort that they would spend on securing their genetic legacy or whatever. Like, because like DNA wants to replicate itself. So guys are basically focused on smashing women. And they're like, here, take all that energy and put it towards building things for us for the future. And here's a wife. And they're like, yeah, sign me up. And that worked until like 1760 or something like that. Oversalted $10 super chat. I'll signal with a fill your boots mug. Wonder who can market that. I probably can. Although from Red Pill, you would call it you do you. There was always a big joke where, because we used to get in a little like mini internet, it was Reddit, who gives a fuck, but we'd just get in little beefs where somebody would argue about something. It's usually like a very basic red pilled concept, and the guy would be like, fuck you, I'm trad, I don't have to do this shit. And One More Please kind of started, he was like, yeah, you do you, man. And then the other guy would generally back off and think, oh, thank God. And then and then it came up in conversation once, what you do you. It's like everybody here is always hedging, and they'll say, yeah, this is the things that work for me, but you do you. And then finally he had to like break off the kayfabe. He's like, look, when I say you do you, he's telling you to go fuck yourself, you stupid artard. You stupid late Frenchman. And so that's what you do you kind of turned into. It was a way of calling a guy an artard, if that helps. So at least fake Rolo is funny. Jesus. So signaling. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can market that. Start a beef with somebody who's like smaller than me. Who's smaller than a Canadian? Maybe I can start some more beef with who's the Savvy Writes Books. I remember her. She was fucking pissed. Dude, that was ridiculous. There's a Tolo Ramasi in the chat and Bizarre Rolo Tomasi. Dude, you guys are making it sound like he's like the old He-Man action figures, like Battle Damage He-Man, Laser Gun He-Man, Cyborg He-Man. It's cool stuff. Yeah, so signaling. Anyway, so part of it was genetic. You always want to find things that signal for good genetics, secondary characteristics. Guys' forearms, for some reason. If a guy has strong forearms, he tends to be pretty fit and athletic, so girls can see that. You can't just show dick pics, obviously. Or you can. Full head of hair is good. Good eyesight, height, facial structure, symmetry. You guys know this. I mean, I'm sure there's been a bunch of MGTOW 42069s talking about the science of why you're an ugly bastard and will die alone and need to buy my sex doll on my merch store. But the other part of it is social signaling. It turns out, so if you were fat in the 1600s, that was like a huge driver. Like, oh my God, this guy can eat. And that's because our frontal lobe does have some influence on what we find attractive. Of course, nowadays, when you're fat, it signals that you're out of shape and you're low quality genetic, no impulse control. You're probably poor because people notice as a correlation, fatter people tend to be poorer people. So if you're thin and in shape, it makes you look richer, right? Sancho Bohemian, thank you for the $5 super chat. Ryan, that's me. These 30 plus single women with kids are mad when they realize I ain't falling for them to save them and their kids. Hey, you know what? They're allowed to get mad. If I didn't get what I wanted, I'd be mad too. But hey, how did Whisper put it? Oh, he had the greatest thing ever. I put it up on Twitter too. It was some weird purple pill debate thread where somebody was arguing about how men dating in their 40s is ruining the sexual marketplace for everybody. And it was very obvious that the poster was like she was either a guy who got his girlfriend stolen by some silverback dude, or some girl that was about like age appropriate for 40-year-old men, pissed off that he dumped her for a younger model. So you got that it was a cope. And then he asked, like, how are we ruining it? And then she described the ruining it, or he, whatever, described the ruining it as like, this ruins it for kids and this ruins it for women. And he goes, oh, so I noticed like everybody you said that was ruining it and needed to be helped was like everybody except for guys. So he's like, I don't owe you anything and save yourself. I think that was how he worded it. I really got to go back and get that because it was like a fucking wonderful line. But yeah, that's for the Sancho thing. It's not your responsibility. Then Wando, €2 in super chat. So you don't recommend going raw on stuff. Hey, there's only like 7 iron rules of the Manosphere or of like the red pill, Rolo Tomasi's iron rules, and I'm pretty sure be in control of the birth control is like number 2 or 3 on the list. There's only 3 that I remember off the top of my head. There's like 1, frame is everything. 7, don't root through the trash. If you dumped her or she dumped you, there was probably a reason. And then whatever one was, don't let her control the birth control. Yeah, obese neckbeards can grow proper beards if they just lose weight and raise T. Ask me how I know. Yeah, and there's always this thing too. Does like obesity cause low T or does low T cause obesity? And the answer is yes. Because how does it work? Fat aromatizes testosterone in the body, creates more estrogen, basically. So it's like a weird cycle. That's why it's always hard to first start losing weight, but then once you get to a certain point, it becomes easier. Sam Whiskey, $5 French press coffee demands a lot of commitment, like a woman. Does it really, though? I mean, I guess it does if all you have is drip coffee or Starbucks, but I mean, for us, it's like a 4-minute ritual in the morning. You boil the water in a pot or in a kettle, grind your beans for like 6-7 seconds, put them in there, pour it, wait 4 minutes, give it a stir, give it 5 more minutes, plunge it down, pour your cup, you're done. Literally 10 minutes. Anyways, this is all signaling. Having a tan. I think that was the example that you guys used earlier on. Having a tan back in the day showed you were poor because you were working outside. And you still see this. Like in the States, black people. I know there's like, you guys don't know this. There's a huge like beef between dark-skinned African Americans and light-skinned African Americans. Same thing. I know the Philippines has it too. India has it with like the super dark Indian people and then the light-skinned ones like Northerners, like Sikhs and that. Same with the Chinese, Japanese. It's basically every brown country has like this thing where the lighter skinned people are thought of as like some kind of socially better flex thing. And they're kind of a little backwards on it. And you just ask, there's a bunch of like people from the brown world in the chat and they'll tell you the exact same thing. So I'm not telling you anything new. Spanish too, like the Mayan ones versus like the Spaniard ones. Yeah. Oh, and Zen, you're right. Skin doesn't matter. I'm not saying this is a value judgment. I'm saying this is like something that's objectively out there as like a signaling thing. Yeah, and it's usually because there's a correlation between wealth and that because of it. Now, in the States and like most super developed countries, it kind of works the opposite way now. Because everybody's busy working in offices and cubicles, everybody's kind of got a pasty white complexion. So, if you have a tan, that tends to mean you have a lot more luxury time to yourself and you spend it on the beach and stuff like that. Like, what's the trope of like the rich Hollywood actor who's got like so much sun that he looks like leather on his skin, and that's seen as like an attractive thing. Mark Martin, $5 super chat. Hey Ryan, whatever happened to Black Label Logic? Was he kidnapped and is he still alive? He's not kidnapped. He is still alive. He's busy with a certain thing, and I cannot tell you what it is. Mostly because I'm still held to like my security clearance. So just be aware. If you see some shit go down in the Ukraine, you know who to thank or not thank, depending on whose side of the equation you're from. Allegedly. I'll leave it there. Wando again, $2 super chat. Light skin, dark skin, it's genetics. Euro ancestry or nah? Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So you just be aware. Yeah, the Hindu caste system. See, you guys got it. Like, you're picking all kinds of like, and you notice this? It's like the Hindu caste system. It's European ancestry. It's just working on the thing. There's like 18 different reasons how it manifests, and none of them are better than the others. Like, we're in a world now of commodification, so it shouldn't really matter. But it's like having a tail. It's like a vestige, a previous vestige of our primordial selves to know this. And we're slowly getting there, but that's how the social thing goes. That's why rappers are getting all the chicks right now. That's why basketball players are getting all the chicks. That's why blacked is like the most popular category. Oh, no, wait, it's not anymore. It's like waifu porn or something like that. I don't know, whatever. I got to go back. I'm not going to lie. Pornhub, whatever. Whatever your stance on porn, I don't care. They have the best analytics blog I have ever seen because they get no dishonesties. Like, dude, everybody who writes on statistics will lie and cheat and steal. And when it comes to porn consumption, you're going to get like honesty to a level you'll never get anywhere else. Like, I honestly laughed when they had that post about, what was that, the Women's March? Remember that? Back when everybody was like, Trump's evil, I'm going to wear this hat and go out there and yell at him. And then they noticed in the DC area that like porn consumption dropped like 40% or something stupid like that. So it turns out, and I'd have to go look at the demographic makeup of the march, but I'm pretty sure it was like mostly women and then a couple like feminist allies. So either those feminist allies were watching an insane amount of porn, which is likely, or those, you know, feminist I hate Trump guys were watching all kinds of stuff. And I guess it was like kinky stuff too, like struggle hugging porn and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right. So if you just watch when like big events happen that take people away from their computers for extended periods of time, watch how porn consumption changes, I think you'll find a lot more of the fourth wall being broken. Like January, I would love to see if there's some kind of correlation between porn consumption and January 6th in the States. I would laugh if you find out that like trad wife porn or something like that, or like interracial porn happened during the white nationalist conventions. I would find it fascinating. But then again, as a social signal, I think this is the part where like where I talked earlier, like at minute 23, how we're all lying to ourselves. That's kind of a social signal too. That's, depending on how good you are with it, can be a good thing or a bad thing. So the West Elm girls, they're actually flexing on the other girls around the area, saying, yeah, I fucked them. And that's like an intergenderal flex. It's the same as guys saying, I've got a Lamborghini, fuck you. Girls don't care, but guys care. So the other guys defer to you, right? So there's like some value in signaling. And the problem with signaling is that legit singles are expensive. Like a Lamborghini costs $250,000 or $500,000 or Ferrari or whatever. But let's say you rent one. Cost a couple $100. Let's say you go to like a police auction and pick one up on special. Or a guy I used to know in Kelowna, BC had this where he bought one. Like it was this would have been in like 2005, something like that. And he bought a 1979 Ferrari. He's like, you know the best part about this? I'm like, what's that? It only cost me like $36,000, but I got a Ferrari and it's a classic Ferrari too. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of neat. Doesn't that suck? Doesn't it expensive in that for maintenance? And he goes, yeah, it's a Ferrari. They're all going to be expensive. So I'm still paying the same expense, but it's really nice when I roll up to the bar in a Ferrari. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. Yes, JD, it's not the bracketing. Yeah, we're not talking about what do they call them now? Elves or whatever? I don't know. Your boy's going to have a work cut out with you during the Rule Zero. Oh, yeah, geez. Yeah, it's true, too. We have very large wieners compared to monkeys and apes and that, but that's because we don't have 800 pounds of gorilla strength to us, so we got to signal with, hey, I got this, though. So, yeah, that's signaling. All right. We're going to switch over to Bantz. Let's have some fun with the rest of this one, man. I've been watching, I think I talked about this before. Did you know that there's like an entire genre of TikToks and girls tweeting just to shit on dudes with podcasts? Have you seen this? Like, there was this one that was making the rounds just before all this nonsense, which I was probably going to talk about, but now nobody cares and they're all over it. There was this guy on a live stream. It was like two bros talking shit or something like that. I don't even know. It's the standard podcast setup. Table, 2 microphones, the SMB7s, the same thing. Paid $1,000 for this setup, and now it's just 2 guys talking about whatever. And the guy's like, man, my wife had a baby, and then she didn't lose the weight. I'd tell her to, you know, and he's like talking bravado, right? Like puffing his chest. And I guess girls lost it. Every single fat girl fucking lost it on him. And I just started laughing my ass off. I'm like, so 2 guys talking in the abstract about their hypothetical wife getting pregnant with their hypothetical kid and hypothetically not wanting to lose weight afterwards. And then a bunch of single hypothetical girls talking about their hypothetical husbands who would never dare do that to them. And I'm laughing. It's like everybody's arguing about an invented fiction in their own heads. And it just made me fucking laugh. Sancho Bohemian, $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. Thanks again, by the way. Building a company with my a-hole father in Mexico. And guess what? My mom's pissed because of Rolo and you building back up. Yeah, dude. It's weird too, like the hypergamy and like the way chicks act. It's a mom, it's a sister, it's a daughter. It doesn't really matter. Women are all women. But it's good though. Like I said, coming to terms, your a-hole father may have been an a-hole, but your mom was like, yeah, I want to have a kid with him. So I'm like, how much of an asshole was he, right? But I hope the business works out for you, especially in Mexico. Like I said, it's always a risky place. I'm assuming you're at least a Mexican national though, because yeah, if you're not naturalized citizen in Mexico, it sucks. Like real estate, law, business, pain in the ass, and they love to screw over the gringos and stuff like that. So good for you. Although maybe your dad's the national and you're American, so that's why you're using him. Either way, as long as it works, it works. And then Mustang, £1.79 super chat. What kind of signaling was Skittle Man making? You have no idea what awesome. Okay, Skittles Man. Me. Pull this up. I'm going to send you guys this. Skittles Man Chateau Hertiste. Be a Skittles Man. Here's what he's talking about. I'm sure you guys know, but there's probably some new people in the chat who doesn't know. I mean, with all these red pill guys in the room, you got to figure that most of you have never actually read anything. This is the way it works, man. Dante, ban everybody here. They're all fake. So be a Skittles Man. It's this post from, and I put a link in the super chat for you. And he's like the reader Fabian, linked to this funny entry on a Don't Hate Him Girl blog. He's like, he had several lady friends who stayed the night at his house and claimed they were just friends, but he frequently forgot important details about me, like the fact I had a sister, my birthday, my hobbies. He blew me off constantly, would return calls a week later with the excuse of, I was busy. I spoiled him with gifts and rides and sex only to receive a bag of Skittles in return. I don't even like Skittles. And that was the only gift I ever received from him. I met a new friend and we were bonding over the worst ex-boyfriend stories, and suddenly we realized, boy, a lot of these sound the same. Was his name this? And it was the same guy. Does this not sound like West Elm Caleb to you, by the way? How funny is this? This came out May 19th, 2009. What is old is new again. And this is every time I hear somebody's like, oh, the dating. Now, here, you guys watch a lot of the Sphere. Who keeps telling you the dating game has changed, man? It's totally different, blah, blah, blah. Right here, 2009 was like almost 15 years ago. The exact same fucking thing with Skittles, man. West Elm Caleb. Just showing, just saying. Yeah, I'll start some beef with Jack, that Dutch fuck. No. Yeah. So it was funny, and the whole thing of Royce here was he was pointing out the juxtaposition between a top tier dude and a bottom tier dude. And the next story was like, I just attended a wedding for the bill, which was paid mostly by the parents of the bride, but a substantial input from the groom's parents. That would easily pay for the private education of several children. It could have paid for a modest but nice house in a good neighborhood in many parts of the country. Hint: the flowers alone cost 15 grand. And it's amazing what the matriarchy does. The Darwinian purpose of this, I believe, is to keep the husbands working their asses off and keep them broke so they can't go out and buy a younger woman or a next wife or keep a concubine. There's no other logical explanation for the excess. It's just because girls aren't accountable. Like, you're never going to hold them accountable. And that's fine. You just realize then that all your problems are opt-in problems. Actually, I guess I can make that the next little section here will go off. What is it? 113. Opt-in problems. This is why I have zero patience for MGTOW 42069 and his bullshit, hypothetical, getting divorced, raped shit. Riley, hush you. No. I tell you what, when I get down to 185, I'll take in selfies again. I got to do another cut because I took Christmas off and I fucking ran the gauntlet. And then Dougie's like, hey, you know what? For your New Year's resolution and your January cutting plan, I'm going to close the gym. So now it's like a double whammy. This is why Rich has members only chats. Well, we may get there. I mean, this one guy, he's got to get bored eventually. Is he still at it? I think he's gone now. I don't know. I can't imagine somebody spending an entire 2 hours just making accounts and talking shit. That's a dedication. I almost want to encourage that. I'm like, if you guys can hustle as much as this fake account guy in the chat, then maybe you'll be your own alpha male. Yeah. So opt-in problems. Yeah, they're all opt-in. Back to Skittles Man. So you opt into these problems. The girl wants an exorbitant wedding, and you're complaining that she doesn't get it. But like, what happens? Do you pay for it or do you not pay for it? Most guys pay for it. Why do you pay for it? Because you don't want to hurt her feelings. Because I love her and she's great. So if she's angry, I want to fix that because that's what a good man does. He leads his women. He makes her happy. And I'm just like, fuck, bro. What are you doing? Hey, what the hell's that plug for? Oh, whatever. The hell are you doing? Just say no. You know it's not a good idea. Why would you do it? Well, if I don't, and it always comes down to they don't know, but it's like you can't argue with it. It's like an emotional thing. I always make the case that it's generally brought back to failed parenting strategies. And I think is it Ironwood or Athol K? I want to say Athol. No, it's Glover. Glover talks about this. So like when we were kids back in the agricultural revolution, Dad was working at home all day on the farm. So he was home there for his kids. He was there to provide structure, all the good parenting shit that trads ramble on about. Industrial revolution happened, and instead of having a cottage industry, guys go and they work at factories. So guys are gone all day, 16-hour days, whatever, 8-hour days. They aren't there for child rearing. And then you add to that divorce. About half the kids out there have come from a broken home. So they basically have dad removed from their life due to technological change, personal preference, legal things. Chalk it up to whatever reasons you want. Doesn't really matter. And since dad's not there, and they find usually when men organize and like create a family unit, it's rule based. Guys love rules. Guys love structure because that lets you know the rules that you're allowed to play with. What does Peterson say? It's like you always have an iterated game, and then you know what the rules are, and everybody can play within it, and then you can do well as long as you follow the rules, and you don't want chaos because Stolzenich said blah blah blah. You guys know the spiel. DeChamp, yes I do, and I have an Xbox, but for the most part it's PC stuff for the channel, for the second channel, only because it's just a pain in the ass to bring it in here. For me, the Xbox is in the living room. For the most part, it's just there for watching YouTube and Amazon Prime or Disney or whatever I'm doing. Okay, so, oh yeah, where's I going with this one? Oh yeah, opt-in problems. So you get to this point where women are now running the household. And what happens when a girl runs the household? Well, they don't run things on structures. They don't like rules. They're just like, everything is very subjective, my truth, wishy-washy. And they're also more emotional than guys. You can get mad at this if you want, but it's true. Girls are more emotional than men. Who'da thunk? So, for the most part, how you act is based on your emotional state at any given time. So if a girl's, maybe say she had a bad night's sleep. She's cranky, she's bitchy, she yells, nothing you do is right, and it makes no sense, especially to like a little boy. If you're in a great mood, everything is great, you're a special little guy, you can't do anything wrong. If you do something wrong, but she likes you more than the person you did it wrong to, you got in a fight at school, but she doesn't like that little boy, but she loves you, then you can do nothing wrong, and she's a little boy, and she encourages that little narcissistic behavior that you're above it all. And so the kid gets raised two things. He's not learning rules. What he's learning is whoever has the most power makes the rules. And who has the most power? Well, this most important women in my life. And as a kid, you're like, oh my God, if this woman gets mad at me, I could starve to death because she's the only one that knows how to work the microwave. And I know I'm like making fun of like caveman evil psych here, but you get the idea. It's limbic brain shit. It doesn't have to be realistic. So you take a guy who does that, and he's only known female authority his entire life. You put him in his 20s now, and of course, he gets married, has a wife, because she wants to settle down, have kids. Worst case scenario, it's that epiphany phase chick. He works hard his whole life to be a good engineer. She's 32 and got run through, and now she's like, I want to marry because I need a wedding. And then she has all these demands, and then that little boy who just wants to keep mom happy is willing to fuck over his own life, even though he knows that money would have been better spent on this. Then what happens? Well, the girl kind of bullies him into it, and he opts in to screwing over his future because she wants something, and he's terrified of hurting her feelings. And then you think, well, they're in it together. Well, she's going to suffer too. And I'm like, no, she's not. Here's what happens. That guy does everything for her. Does everything, takes the shirt off his back. Now they live destitute because they don't have the money for things, and they're always broke. So what does she do? Does she cut back? Does she do things? No. Those girls will leave. She got a chick talk. It's probably coming out. If you guys watched my last one, it was on the guy who ended up committing suicide. It's a sad story, man. It's like 3 minutes of depression. And that's what they do. When times get tough, they cut and run. And that's why, if you guys read Rollo's article on mutiny, you'll realize the captain, first officer model that came through, who the fuck started it? That one's Athol K. And the married red pill used a lot, and it seems to be getting more traction. That's where it kind of fumbles up. So guys are like, yeah, no, you got to give her input. You got to make her the first officer. And Ultimate Cat actually talked about his alternative, which was father knows best, right? Because you realize you can't make her the first officer because As soon as times gets tough, they're just going to cut and run anyway, for the most part. So if you're gonna have to suffer the consequences of your actions by yourself, regardless, you might as well do things that you think is best. You know, we got to get the jab. If you don't have, by the way, if you guys don't have 4 booster shots, you got to get out of the channel because I don't want to catch internet COVID. Oh, I could go on a rant about that too. We'll probably end off the show on this. I'm going to do this one. We're only doing 90 minutes because then I got to get prepped for the Rule 0 coming later. Luckily enough, the first bit of it's just going to be guys explaining to me what the hell happened with this chick that I can't remember, Torsia or whatever the one's name is. I don't know what to call her, so I'm calling her Torsia. I know that's not her. So these opt-in problems. And the whole point of Skittles, man, is to show, like, that's that guy. So when, like, people talk about beta male, they're not actually talking about beta in a red pill sense. They're talking about those guys that were raised to be substandard, subservient to women, codependent, nice guys. As opposed to Skittles, man. Fairly indifferent, fairly has lots of options, very attractive, and the girl can't get enough of it. And that was the one thing. That's like, be a Skittles, man. That was the one gift. Here, have some Skittles. She's like, I don't even like Skittles. And she bitches about it and moans about it. And I hate this guy. And the other girl's like, I hate him too. And it's like, that's the same guy. Oh my God. And then they're sitting there realizing they both slept with the same dude. And they're not mad about this. Like, I guarantee you, if you'd have put a fly in the wall, watch the story, it's the same as West Elm Caleb. They're smiling their ass off. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen. So, you got 2 choices. You can sit here and cling to your, I want to defer to women at all costs, be the tradcon with the wonderful life and the wonderful kids and always make her feel happy and my wife doesn't have to drive anywhere. Or you can be Skittles man. And I hate to say it, but we're in a commoditized masculinity realm. Soybean masculinity. Right now, guys are a dime a dozen. You can divorce your man. You can have 3 kids in tow, leave your man, and within a year, you'll have a new dad in the picture living at the house trying to adopt the kids. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. So, like, if you're saying, like, the father is the most essential part of the family and he's easily replaceable like that, like, how important is each individual man? Not very. But like anything, we use that New York coffee, guys, the D's nuts in your mouth coffee or whatever, right? You got the D's nuts in your coffee. What is that? Average tier coffee, complete commodity. You can get it anywhere. But you put D's nuts in your mouth, you put up some good branding, you make it into a luxury product, you charge 10 times as much. All of a sudden now you have a viable coffee company. Same thing with men. Luxury branding, man. Please get Rich's McLaren and make a promotional video for your channel, please. Dude, that would be the fakest shit ever. I wouldn't even know what to do with that. Just have me sit beside... Actually, you know what I should do? My brother used to do this. It was always funny. Every time he went to Vegas, like, he always had nice cars. Like, I remember his college car, he always had, like, a 1993 Prelude, which I know it's, like, a weird flex, but at the time, he's like, this is my car. It's my baby. And then every time he would go to Vegas, if he walked by, like, a supercar, he would just have his keys. He'd put his keys in his hand, hide the keychain where the logo of the car would on there, and then take a picture where he's looked like he's putting his keys into the into the door to unlock it. And I always had this look. I always laughed, man. Yeah. Talk more about luxury branding. I probably will. Not this episode, though. We'll do it later. And yeah, you're right. Mark Levinson, graphic design. I want to be the Louis Vuitton, L-O-U-I-X, or L-O-U-I-S, Louis Vuitton. But that's really it. Yeah, if girls don't need a man, they don't. Cops have handled safety. Government has handled safety net. You know, jurisprudence handles divorce. There's literally, like, nothing a girl needs you for. She can get her own job, working in an office, doing whatever, selling her asshole on OnlyFans. So there's no need for a man. But girls want men because we're people. Men want women, women want men. That's how we've been bred our entire lives. Our genes wouldn't be doing their job if we didn't. So you just got to realize, yeah, I'm hosting it today. That's why I'm doing the break here. And we're going to talk about some stupid drama shit. So we'll see. And I know, Braver, it sounds like easy. Just be fun and attractive. But there's, like, I keep going back to that Carl Sagan line. How do you bake a pie? Well, first you create the universe. That's kind of like, just be attractive. Just be attractive and fun. Well, first you create the universe. You know what I mean? And that's why I've got like 3 years of content and I got another 2 years to go. because there's so much shit behind why you're unattractive or why you're not attractive. And everybody gets it wrong. And I'm not even saying this to be cocky. I'm like, everybody gets it wrong because nobody knows what they're doing, and the loudest mouthpieces know the least amount of shit. And they're just basically yelling into the void, which is kind of funny because that self-deception, that lying to themselves and projecting it onto the world, that's one of the problems. That's one of the things to deal with. And so you have to get a guy who's been unattractive, made himself attractive, and had the self-awareness to understand the lying to himself part of it, and have a proclivity to want to talk about it in books, in movies, and whatever, someplace to talk about it. Because most guys, once they make themselves attractive and they get past their unattractive phase, they're fucking done. They leave. They're gone. There's like almost nobody who does that then sticks around for any length of time. They'll take a penny, leave a penny jar, you know? So I'll leave it on that one. I'll probably talk about luxury browning on a later episode. I don't know, whenever. Until then, we're going to spend 5 minutes bantering in the chat. Final Bantz. Bantz with a TZ. Is that like a 4chan term? Who came up with that originally? I don't even know. Okay, is fake Rolo Tomasi still in the chat, or is he gone? That's too bad. That sucks. I was about to give him a spot on the panel. As if. So, oh yes, and so Private Community used to have a private forum where we could talk about the stuff fairly openly. We've since moved to Dante's Discord. It's still semi-private, and they run a pretty tight ship there, so. Yeah. Oh, it is a 4chan thing. Okay, great stuff. Made my life better. Hey, you made your own life better. That's another part that comes with this you ain't shit and that's okay thing that I keep talking about is as a content creator, you can't take credit. You can't. It's anybody who's doing any kind of self-improvement or self-aware, like anything that could even be closely construed as self-improvement. If you hear the guy saying, I'm saving lives, I'm telling you right now, he's either marketing to you or he's lying to himself. You don't save anything. You guys are doing your own work. At best, I'm providing some like information that can help, but you basically make your own decisions. You basically do your own things. I can't hold your tick. I'm not responsible for any failures, so I can't be, or I'm not accountable to any of your failures, so I can't be responsible for any of your successes. And I think everybody needs to understand that. And again, that's another thing. Is Torsha a Pokemon? I don't even know much about her. I know I saw 5 seconds of a Donnie video. I see Rolo link it now and again. And I see you guys say she'd really be a pretty cool drinking buddy. So I don't know. That's all I really know about it. And I'll warn you right now, guys. Rule 0. It's scrambled together last minute. So I have no idea how it's going to go. It's not going to be my regular structured thing, but we'll see what happens. They call the unmarried women leftover women. Facts. See, why do you care though? That's the thing. Like calling them leftover women. It's like, yeah, well, that sounds like a their problem. It's not my problem. I don't really give a shit. I can find one. You can if you get yourself out there, fix your structural issues with your relationships, fix your structural issues with your attractiveness, become attractive, become less attractive, and you meet enough people, you will find a good enough woman that living with you guys can mold each other into like your best versions of whatever. Like you'll find your 80%. I don't care. You can say 99 women out of 100 ain't shit, and that's fine. So go meet 300 women, and you now have 3 women that are fucking awesome. You can have a harem, a soft harem. Holy shit. How does that work? Well, you just got to be that 1 in 100 man. And it's not that hard because 99 men are pieces of shit. Just be the guy with Skittles, man. Torsha says she loves you on that one little bit. I watched to see who she is. Well, that's nice. I'm really glad that I didn't just run off the gate, running my mouth against her. We'll see. I know I'll have to reach out at some point and do some greetings and salutations. I have a real aversion now to like collaborations other than people I already know. Because, I mean, let's face it, guys, this like last 3 years on the channel, you've seen all the collabs, and I'm running like 70% regretting it with all of them, man. Like the Anthony Johnson shit, really regretting it. The Lambo Bros, kind of regretting it. That Savvy Writes What and the Emily feminist chick, really regretting it. And I'm just like, How many more I'm really regretting this am I going to have to do until I realize, like, you know what? I get it. YouTube tells you collaborations are the best way to grow, but it's just not worth it. Ryan, what type of style do you do with your facial hair? All right, we can end it on that one. So I'll end it on this like little quick thing here. So with the mustache, so if you guys notice, it doesn't grow in the middle here, which is a very strange thing. But my sides tend to grow a lot. So what I end up doing is what they call as an imperial. An imperial or a handlebar. An imperial is where the sides like stick straight out, twirled up, put a little bit of wax on it. And a handlebar is where they kind of curl up. That's usually what I do on those ones. And then for beard, I don't know, I've only ever grown like 1 or 2 beards in my life. And I think one you actually saw for a period on this channel. I don't know how long it grows, how big it can grow. But then, same as everybody, when I cut it off, you always got to cut it off in chunks. Like, what would I look like with good lamb chops? What would it look like with the Fu Manchu? And then you got to do a goatee. And then you got to do a soul patch with the mustache. And then you got to do just the mustache. And you're like, oh, that's cool. And then at the end, you always have to cut your little Hitler mustache. And then you're like, so that's what I'd look like as the monster. And then you don't take a picture of that and you cut it off. Yeah. Anywho, enjoy yourselves, guys. I'll see you in an hour. Cheers.